I'll do a little bit. I won't read the
There
whole
you
thing
go.
for you.
There you go.
Okay, so
Love it.
just a mild bit of embarrassment. Yeah.
Sure. Sure.
Okay, everyone, welcome. Welcome to session 5 of Mad Keen for Lean, our 2025 Lean in Higher Education International Conference. We started our time 10 a.m. yesterday. We had 2 long sessions during the day. Then we had a third session that ran till quite late. Then John Hogg from Strathclyde has hosted a session overnight. And now we're back again here in Australia very early in the morning, joined by some wonderful people from the US and also a couple of people from Europe who have stayed up a bit late. We're delighted that we've got Tony with us this morning, talking about kaizening your kaizen. When we were putting the conference together, we had been thinking about all the wonderful people in the community that we had either had the privilege of going to a presentation with or having met before, and sort of high on our list, here we go, fangirl moment, was Tony, because he stepped in at the very last moment at the Cambridge conference last year to fill a gap and did a session that everybody just said was phenomenal. So we thought, why don't we invite him back, because things have progressed in this space quite a while, quite a lot over 12 months, and we'd love to hear what he's doing, but also pick up some tips around what we can be doing as practitioners as well. So with that, I will hand over to you, and I hope that wasn't too embarrassing.
No, it was lovely. Thank you. I hope you saw my little heart.
Little heart.
Yeah, there you go. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio. I work with the University of California, San Diego. We are an internal consultant team, so we interface with departments across campus and health. We do things like we lead the Lean Six Sigma Yellow Belt training. We do process mapping with folks. We help with strategic planning and everything sort of in between. We, over the last year or so, have been helping teams understand AI. At the beginning, thinking through what is AI, how does it function, how do you interact with it, what tools are available, what are the security concerns, and we're moving more and more into how do we apply this to process. I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to spend some time also, let me go through the goals for today. Let me do this formally with my slides. I have slides, so let's go with it. Okay, so I'll provide a really high level introduction. So I'm not sure how comfortable folks are here with AI. If you've already been to a million different sessions where they tell you this is what ChatGPT is and this is what a prompt is. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time doing that. I will zoom quickly through it. I know we're in Teams, so that joke doesn't pun as well as it should, but I'm going to zoom quickly through an introduction of what AI kind of is, so that everyone has the same groundwork in case you haven't seen or interacted with some of the language model AI tools before. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about how we've been thinking about project management and CI and how AI can help practitioners in that space, and how folks are thinking about it in terms of the solutioning phase, I guess. I'm going to share some prompting tips, so how to think about prompting. And then I really want to spend the majority of my time running through a live example. So one thing that everyone needs to know here is that I thrive off of your energy. So I know cameras are off right now. I don't know if it's possible to turn cameras on for people, not like force it on them, but to invite people to turn their cameras on. If so, please do so, because I do love seeing your lovely, lovely faces. And if and when I need your help, because I will have opportunities for you to give me ideas and whatnot, my preference is to hear your lovely voices, and then I guess secondarily to see them in chat. If I ask for some sort of feedback and you don't, like nobody responds, it's going to be awkward. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell jokes. So thank you, Jennifer, for being the first brave soul to come off and show camera. Anyone else, you're welcome to turn your cameras on now. Assuming that you have proper clothing. Okay, so let's table setting for the day. What to expect? 20 minutes roughly of me talking at you, and then about roughly 20 minutes of me just doing stuff in AI tools. And the point of that is I want you all to kind of see how you might approach these given the different scenarios that you'll find yourselves in, and how to think through what to include and what to exclude and things like that. Thank you, a few others, Misty and Maria, for coming off and showing camera. Thank you. And then, of course, I'll build some time in the end for QA. I do believe we're recording this session. Moderators tell me if that's not accurate, and hopefully that'll be posted and shared. The slides will also be made available if you want to take a look at those. And the restrooms are near wherever you are. I can't help you with that. Okay, a bit of one more thing We're going to mostly be focusing on language model AI tools, so not, image generation and not, data analysis tools and not some of the embedded models that maybe you have, but really the starting point of like the ChatGPT, the Copilot, those kinds of language model tools that maybe you're playing with in your space. So let's dive right in the interest of time. So project management, or different efforts that you may be supporting. This maybe looks familiar to you, right? Initiation phase, planning phase, execution phase, closing phase. Throughout each of these phases, you're going to be doing certain steps. You're going to be maybe creating a charter, maybe gathering information, voice of customer, right? You're going to be refining your goals. You're going to be communicating out to stakeholders. You're going to be scheduling meetings. You're going to be, capturing and reporting out the potential changes. You're going to be building a communication strategy. These phases, I do want to say, track really nicely to DMAIC, if you're familiar with DMAIC, define, measure, analyze, improve, control, and some of the things that you might do kind of as you're moving through this, if you were to think of it as a project, or plan, do, check, act, right? So there's a lot of overlap here. But the thing I really want you to think about is that what we're really doing a lot of the time, like the majority of time that we spend, is communicating. Like the majority of the work that we do as folks who are practicing in this space, as lean practitioners, as project managers, as folks who are supporting others through change management, we're communicating, right? We're gathering insights, we're synthesizing those, we're communicating that out to a different audience with a different context and tone. And that is great because that's a space where AI can really, really, really be helpful. So just want to set that as the stage for us. Is this AI sort of set of tools is going to be really helpful for us as we're doing these things, as we're creating charters and establishing goals and all of those things. What I'm seeing in terms of how most people are encountering AI tools is they're either doing content generation, like they're building something new for the first time, help me write an email, help me turn this to another language, that sort of thing, or they're seeking information. I just need to find an answer to a thing. A lot of folks, when they first start thinking about how do I use AI, they're really thinking, I just need to find an answer to a problem, right? I just need to find, like, I don't know this policy, I need to find it. I don't know this rule, I need to find it. And it's really a shortcoming and actually a risk, because these tools are generative AI. So they're always doing content generation. They might take from a data set and try to give you something, but they're not databases that are looking and finding a single value. They're looking across a whole set of value, looking for relationships between that and giving you something that is generative and often new. So it's something to think about as you're thinking about where you're going to apply AI. The biggest opportunities are going to be in the idea of a generative space, of a creative space, of a bouncing ideas and shaping ideas space. Now, when folks go to interact with an AI tool, we have this analogy of like the language model and the data set that it's using is a big lump of clay. So if you went to that lump of clay and you said, I need a statue, help me make a statue, it might give you something that's a good start. Now, I would never take the statue and try to put it in a museum, right? At least not the way it looks right now. I know that I need to go in with the chisel and give it the finer details, right? I'm still the expert. I'm still the human in the loop. I still need to know the fundamentals of what I'm doing, because this AI tool is going to help maybe accelerate what I'm doing and not necessarily take the place of it. Now, are there processes for which eventually they will be able to be fully agentic and have certain ownership of processes? Sure, but that's not where they are right now. And even in that state, we will still need to know, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and we'll still need to be the human in the loop for those scenarios. Fun fact, each of these images were AI generated. Okay? The point I want to make here too is that some people will go to AI and they'll say, tell me about Antonio Nava, right? Where does he work and what was his birthday or whatever? And they'll get a response and they're like, wow, that answer was really, really wrong. And they think, I can't trust AI now because it hallucinates and it gives me fake answers and it does weird things. The challenge with that is, if I went to an internet search and I said, tell me about Antonio Nava, I would get 50,000 pages before I get anything about me, right? And that's the data set that these AI tools are pulling from. And that's the reason why if I go and I search something as factual as tell me about this individual person, I either need to give it more context or I need to anticipate that it's going to be wading through a whole lot of similar data, other people with the same name as me perhaps, and try to create something out of that. So it's just something to be aware of. Now, when we get this in front of folks at my campus and we're talking about how are you going to use AI in processes. And this is one of the things that we try to show them is, you've got the handle of process improvement, you're leading the charge. We really want you to lead with lean. So we really want folks to start by thinking about what are the process steps that you oversee or that you're supporting or that you're evaluating, and where are there opportunities to make sure that we're peeling back the layers of that before we start to train some AI tool on the specifics of the process or before we try to automate. And this is also a really important distinction, is the idea that automation and AI are two different things. Sometimes people say, we're going to use AI to automate. It's like, you can, but it's more complex than that. Automation is like, there's a specific rule set, and it always goes through this if-then scenario, and it's going to be a definite output at the end. AI is more of, there's a rule set, but it's a little more squishy. There's a little bit more room for wiggle, and there's a little bit more analysis that needs to happen. So just wanted to call that out, as some people are thinking of AI and automation as the same thing, and they can do similar things, but they are not the same. As folks have been asking us, how do I use AI to be more efficient? I tell them, well, efficient is kind of a squishy word, right? What are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to be lean and faster? Are you trying to be Six Sigma and reduce defects or look at quality outcomes? So maybe don't use that word efficient, right? That efficient is kind of a buzzword. So what we've been telling people, or what we've been guiding folks to do, is as much as possible, think about what your other goals are. We want to be more relatable to the people that we're working with. We want to be more equitable with the information that we're putting out in the world. We want to be more creative with some of the outputs that we're given. So we want you to think about, when you're using AI, what are the different opportunities, not just how do I get to this answer more quickly, but how can I shape the output of what I'm trying to build, or how can I get a head start on it? So a couple ways to think about this. If I were using AI and I was trying to be faster at something, I might say, help me create a template really quickly. Help me simplify this content. Help me, boil down my meeting notes, or that sort of thing. That's thinking of AI in terms of speed. Thinking of AI in terms of quality is things like, I have this document that I've created, and I've written it for faculty members, and I have an audience of student staff that I want to sort of relay this information to as well. I don't want to just give them the faculty version of this. I might take this and say, reformat this message and couch it in a way that my student staff will resonate with the language and will understand how it relates to them, right? I'm not just going to use AI to do that output, but I might use it to give me a head start on that. And now I'm editing the tone to be more resonant with my audience, right? I might take a whole bunch of really good ideas from a meeting and say, all right, pretend you are a student, pretend you are a faculty member. I'm asking the AI tool, pretend you are this person. What sort of ideas, what thoughts might you have based on these ideas that we have, right? How might you react to them if I put these ideas in front of you? And it gives you sort of a way to field test a little bit some of the opportunities that you have. So these are just some ways to think about it. I'm going to show you live in just a moment how we might do some of these things. Okay, AI for ideation. So why I say this is most people think of define, measure, analyze, improve, control. And they get to this point where they're like, where are we going to use AI? Right in the improve phase, right? I want to reiterate, that's great. You can use it in the improve phase, absolutely. Just make sure that you're also thinking about pull and approvals and FIFO and flow and 5Sing. Make sure that you're thinking about all these other things and you don't just jump to the new shiny object, which is AI, right? Make sure that some of these things, like looking at whether you're using FIFO versus LIFO, that's something you can do today for free, and you don't need to train a model or buy a license or do any of that stuff, right? So really, really, really think about how your tool set for process improvement before getting ahead of yourself and thinking that AI is going to be just the thing, the answer in the end, right? Don't jump to improve. We tell people that all the time. Now for DMAIC though, for what we're doing as practitioners, define, measure, analyze, improve, control, where might AI be useful? Hopefully everywhere. Right? Everything that we do, everything we do is a process. Every process has waste and variation. All that variation and waste can be identified, and we can identify countermeasures to the causes of those wastes. And that means that there's going to be some potential AI opportunities and ideas in each of the steps that we do. How might you, as practitioners, identify those things? Well, you need to DMAIC your DMAIC, right? So in define, measure, analyze, improve, control, I've written here some of the things that that you might do: a charter and a data plan and root cause analysis, and these are some of the things that you might do. So you might take some of these sub steps as part of your DMAIC process in your flow, and you might say, for define phase, I'm establishing a process. Now I'm going to define, measure, analyze, improve, control, the specific step of establishing a timeline, right? Right now, what am I doing? What are my measures? Well, I use bulleted milestones. It takes me a certain amount of time. Great. How is that one of the 8 wastes, or does it exhibit any of the 8 wastes? Well, maybe it's extra processing because I've done it before and I already did these milestones. I'm just putting them in a different format. So what are some improvement ideas? Well, a lean idea would be to template them, right? I have a template, I can use the template, I can repeat that. What's an AI idea? Well, I can put that template in and I can take other ones that I've used in the past and I can have AI help me generate at least a working start on these. And you can repeat with each of these, right? At a Gemba observation, I might write down a bunch of scribble notes, and then that's sort of non-utilized talent because as you all can see, I'm a very talented individual, and I can reach through the screen and engage with folks. And here I am sitting in my cubicle, rewriting notes that I just wrote down after a conversation. That's non-utilized talent. Great. How can we address that? Well, I could reduce the amount of notes I take. I can standardize them. I can put them in a template or something like that. And I can use AI to take my notes and convert them. I can say, here's my notes. Even if I had written them out, I can use, I can actually open up my phone, take the Google Lens feature and say, turn this into text. And then from that text, I can put that into a tool and say, now turn this into an email, right? So I can more quickly take my scribbled notes and turn that into something actionable that I can then, put into my project plan and that sort of thing. And rinse and repeat, right? You can DMAIC your DMAIC here, which is the Inception reference. I don't know if you know that movie in different areas, but it goes into a dream within a dream within a dream, right? So how might you do this? The individual sort of building blocks of a prompt, if you will, are here. This is one of the acronyms that we use. It's the START acronym: situation, task, action, references, and tone. Think of these as different elements that you can include in your prompt when you go into an AI tool. I promised that I'd go through this quickly, so suffice it to say, think of it as though you're working with a person. I work with Candace and I say, Candace, can you help me? Candace might say, well, what do you need? What situation do you find yourself in? Oh, I'm a project manager and I'm going to lead a change initiative. Awesome. What do you need me for? Oh, I need you to, if you could write me business justification, give me a head start on it. Great. What format do you want? Well, I need it in an email. Awesome. Do you have any documentation that you can have me look at? Oh yeah, here's the thing that I was gonna synthesize from. Great. What's the tone? Who's the audience? Oh, you know what? This is actually going to be a coworkers of mine, so it can be friendly but still professional, so not like loosey-goosey, right? My whole prompt, my initial first prompt, would probably work best if I included all of those things at the front end. I'm a project manager. I need a business justification. I need no more than 3 paragraphs. Here's my strategic plan or whatever references there are, and here's the tone that I need it in. So you don't need to have all of these things in every single prompt, but this is something that we found really helpful for folks as they're going through and building their prompts. And then once they've done that and they've received an initial output, right, that half-formed statue, it's not the end of the conversation. You can continue on in that thread, and you can, ask for clarification. I can ask Candace, can you go back and reformat this section? Can you make it more concise? Can you expand on this particular topic? That sort of thing. So that it's just the beginning. That first prompt is really just the beginning of your conversation. Important notes: you are still the Lean Six Sigma expert. You are still the practitioner. You are still the human in the loop. AI should be your thought partner, not doing the work for you. We don't want to just push out AI slop. People are the focus. There should be a focus on people as you're going through and doing any of these initiatives, but it is all the more important now to make sure that you're letting your folks know how you're using it, make sure that they're comfortable with you using it, make sure you're safeguarding their data, that you're using approved secure tools, that you are, where necessary, removing their personal information, that sort of thing. So smart use of smart tools. Okay, I am at about the mark where I wanted to switch gears at the 20-minute mark. Let's DMAIC. So I'm going to go through define, measure, analyze, improve, control. Here's where I need your feedback and your participation. So now's time that some of you will need to come off mute or put things in the chat or whatever you want to do. My preference is you come off mute. I'm going to go through, I have this current state where my annual review scores have not been great. And I'm concerned because I want to get a promotion in a few months and I need to make sure that I'm picking up my scores. What do I need to do? Where do I start? Come on, Lean community, workshop it. Or I'll tell jokes. I will do it. Don't make me tell jokes.
I would say look back at previous feedback on areas that you would need to improve. Perfect. Assuming under the assumption that you had a conversation with your direct supervisor about areas of improvement.
Yeah, learn more from the sponsor, in this case, me. I have an interest in improving whatever these outcomes are. So the feedback that I've received, I'll give you a bit of context. This is all manufactured, by the way, so don't worry about me. I'm okay. The feedback that I received is that I am often appearing disheveled, like I'm not cleanly shaven or my hair is not well kept. I look like maybe I just rolled out of bed. I've been more often late to work, especially recently. I've shared with my supervisor that, I've got some things going on at home. I've got, it's hard to get out the door sometimes. I'll try to be better. But it's also affecting my work product. So the fact that I am, maybe I'm not sleeping well, or there's different things that are coming into it. I'm having these challenges and it's affecting my work product. Sometimes I get ready for a presentation. I'm like, oh God, I don't even remember what meeting this was for. What am I presenting on? So that's the current state. Great. What do I do next? If I were going to formally run this the answer is on the screen. What might I create? All right, y'all need a joke. All right, here's going to wake you up. The worst part about when a computer crashes is that all the other computers slow down to see what happened. There's your first joke. There's your first punishment. Okay, so what might I do if I was practicing lean and I was going through DMAIC? What's maybe a resource I would build, or what steps might I take? This is also an experiment, so this can go in any direction you would go. So this is actually me asking you, what would you do next?
Root cause?
What was that?
Root cause?
Root cause. Yes, let's do some root cause. Okay, so let's go through, let's do a 5 whys. It's almost as though I paid her to say that. Let's do some root cause analysis, right? Okay, I've got annual review shortfalls. Why? Well, I mean, I've been late to work. I've been giving bad presentations. Why might that be happening? Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. Many is misspelled, my apologies. Mostly related to not getting quality sleep, right? Why might I not be getting quality sleep? Some thoughts?
Well, I'd be doing
stressed.
a little journal of what's going on during my day.
You might be journaling it. So let's imagine, let's jump forward and we've journaled it. Why might I be? So I'm overworked. You can put it in the chat. You can say it out loud. What are some reasons why I'm not getting good sleep?
Attending international conferences.
I'm attending international conferences, sure. Or maybe I'm sleeping in. I've got a new baby. A bunch of people new baby. Look at that. All right. I'm stressed. There's family issues. There's a poor home environment. Anybody oversleep and miss the alarm? Why might you miss the alarm if we were going through that fishbone? Why might you have? Why is the alarm not functioning or not doing what it needs to do or not meeting the mark? There's a lot of Instagram.
Hit snooze 5 times.
Yes, exactly. Maybe I hit the snooze too often. Maybe I'm having too much fun in my personal life. I'm going out and partying. I'm like reaching a middle-age crisis or something. Or I'm not sleeping enough because I've got a baby in the house. I don't have a good sleeping routine. Awesome. So these are a whole bunch of potential reasons, right? Hopefully the root causes. We're getting down into the floor level whys. What are some countermeasures that might counteract some of these? So the snooze button too much, or having too much fun, or staying up too late. What are some countermeasures? I'm not going to get rid of the baby, but what are some things that I could do to address some of these? Earplugs for the baby, sure. Not for the snooze button. That's not going to help. What else?
Sunrise light.
Oh, a sunrise light. So a light that it changed the lighting in the room so that if it's dark here naturally, that it gives me more light and it wakes me up. What else? Healthy sleep prep.
Yeah, go to sleep earlier.
Yeah. What about the alarm? What about the snooze button?
Put your alarm across the room so you have to get up to turn it off.
Ooh, I love that. So I have to get up and walk over to where the thing is. I love that. What else? I don't know what the 3-second rule is. You drop your alarm clock for 3 seconds and it's okay to pick it back up and eat it, or keep your phone in another room. I might not even hear it if it's in another room. I woke up to a thunderstorm today, but only barely. Okay, so here's my point. Is you might have a whole bunch of ideas, as maybe you've seen, right? Moving the clock, changing the clock sound, getting an analog clock. There might be some ideas in here that are maybe AI related. So like getting an AI sleep app, getting a smartwatch that it checks my biorhythms so that I'm waking up in the right REM cycle or whatever the case is, right? Get a cat, they're a great alarm clock. Yeah, maybe. There's going to be some ideas that are like change the space-time continuum, right? It's important to capture even the crazy ideas because, you know, it helps people feel heard. But what I'm trying to say here is there's a whole bunch of ideas, and some, like getting a smartwatch, are going to be AI related, right? But when we score them in terms of impact and effort, you can see that it's higher effort and maybe not as high as impact as moving the clock, which I can do for free, which leans out my process and addresses the root cause, right? So this is an example of what you might do. You might do the 5 whys and then go through and say, okay, based on the root cause, what are some countermeasures? Maybe you've done this before, maybe you haven't. Let's take a look at how AI might support some of this process, right? So I'm going to come over to, this is a board that I created today. All of these sticky notes are actually AI generated. I asked for it to give me like 50 reasons why I might be late to work. And it's saying things like traffic jam cause, bus missed, subway line, sudden thunderstorm, car won't start. It's got a whole bunch of potential ideas, right? So let's imagine that this was a session in which these are ideas that were given to me by the community. What would we normally do? I would need to go through and use every one of your time right now, 31 people, and I need to move one sticky note at a time, and you'd all watch me do it, and we talk about what affinity groups they're in and that sort of thing. And that is non-utilized talent. So I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to, is it this one? Sort. Oh my goodness, is my AI feature not working right now? It's not. Where is it? Only when it's live, right? Give me 1 second and try this again here. Wow, okay. I don't know if they turned it off or not, but Lucid Spark has, and some other whiteboarding tools here have a feature where they can do a little auto sort. They just, for some reason, turned mine off. So if you have Lucid, if you have the paid version, if you have whiteboarding tools, try this out. Go generate a bunch of ideas, and then you can ask it to auto sort or give an AI summary. All right, let's say that didn't work. Let's real time this. All right, I'm going to take this. I'm going to export it. I'm going to export it to a CSV of shape data. Oh, this is why. It's because I wasn't signed in. All right, now it's going to work. We've root caused it. Because I want to wow you. All right, so let's come back in here. Now I'm signed in. Let me see if it actually functions now the way that I wanted it to. Yes, okay, AI sort ideas. Okay, so what I would normally do is I'd go through and I'd one by one move these around and create categories. Here I can see it auto sorts it by transportation issues, unusual events, weather, natural phenomenon, building and facility issues, animal interference, alarm and time management, key and lock problems. So you can see that this might give us a good, this might stimulate some discussion and might reduce rework, right? I could even take the same set of ideas, come up here and say generate more ideas, or I can come over here and say, give me a summary. Oh, my little bar. Bing. Summarize these ideas. So tell me what all we're talking about, and give me some sort of output. Let's see. All right, a series of unexpected events, disrupted daily routines. Okay, awesome. I might come over to my AI tool. Let's say ChatGPT. I am experiencing these issues. Please give some possible countermeasures. Okay, and I just pasted it in. That's quite a week. Yeah, of course, I got abducted by aliens and all kinds of other stuff in some of the sticky notes if you read them. Okay, so here's some potential root causes, right? Here's some potential countermeasures, business continuity plan, environmental monitoring, scenario planning. So this is maybe the start of my statue head of like, give me some top level ideas. Let's say I want to learn more about environmental monitoring. Like, tell me more about environmental monitoring. Is there a cost? Are there apps? Provide websites. I can learn more. Bing. Okay. Pardon my grammar, but I'm typing quickly in the interest of being lean for this conference. Okay, so what is environmental monitoring? In my context, responding to disruptive events like snowstorms, clouds, means continuously tracking. Here's some key features, blah, blah, blah. Is there a cost? Yes, but it depends on what level of monitoring you need, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so you can see how this might give me something to follow up on. But let's back up a little bit. Let's say I didn't get to root cause. Let's say I started off in this space and I was like, you know what? All I have is a current state and I want to build a charter out of this, right? So I might say, I am leading, did I do this? Yeah, leading a little SAS initiative, create a charter based on these notes. And I'm just gonna paste in a little text about my current state, right? I've been working for UCSD for 8 years. My reviews are lower. I don't want to lose my job. I've received some feedback about my appearance. I mean, I'm handsome, but disheveled, right? So, all right. So this is maybe the start of a charter. So project definition, the what and the why, project title, professional excellence, and advancement. P initiative. I don't know that I like that as an acronym. I don't want to call my project, let's go P. So I might think of something better. Scope and deliverables, what is in scope, what is out of scope. Now this, from just a few sentences, gives me some of the things that I might put into a charter, that I might say to myself or my family or whoever the other stakeholders are, this is what I'm trying to accomplish. Now, it is still important, as I said earlier, for me to go through this and say, are the out of scope elements correct? Did it make something up? Did it generate something that is well outside of my ability to drive control? It's still important for us to know the foundationals of what we're building and why we're building it. Okay, so it gave me the charter. What's the next thing I want to do? I want to plan this out. I have 2 months to make this change, right? Provide a timeline with milestones. Okay. Give me a 2-month timeline with milestones. Is going to remember the context of the project that I was just talking about. So I'm continuing in the same thread and not starting a new one. Okay, so here we go. Define measure. Week 1, project kickoff. Formalize the project charter. Establish baseline data. Count actual late days this week, for example. 3, implement a grooming standard. That's a little jump to improve, but it's a low-hanging fruit, so why not? Week 2, analyze. Let's do some 5 whys, and it gives me a little example of what that might look like. Week 3, week 4, awesome. I need it to be more specific. So let's say, make this more specific. Provide dates and approximate like times, like how many minutes or hours this will need. Starting 10/22/2025, and ignore holidays from the US because we know holidays are different. Yeah, cool. So now I've asked it for more specifics. Let's see what it does. Just a sec, thinking. This is Gemini, by the way. So if you wanted to toggle over to something like a Copilot or a ChatGPT, you'll see, if you haven't toggled around with these tools too much, they're largely the same. The way that they respond is going to be a little different, but they all have a context box down here where you enter your prompt, where you can attach resources or files if you wanted it to reference something. So Microsoft's Copilot looks the same as Gemini, looks the same as, you know, Claude and others. So if you haven't tried different tools, I recommend trying them out. Okay, so here's a detailed one starting from October 22nd. Here we go. And did it give me specific times? Yes, about 30 minutes daily. Okay, what else might I do? Let's say I want to go through and like identify. Oh, you know what? Let's run it. Let's make a process map. I actually set this one up and I wanted to show you. So this is a tool called ProMap. You don't have to have a ProMap or a similar tool, but this is something that we're excited about. Because more tools are integrating things like this. I can start with AI and say, getting to work on time is the name of my map. Generate me a draft process map. And I can give it no more context than that and just say, generate the draft. You can come in and just say, give me a process map. And this tool will go through and it'll give you individual steps. I can also take maybe the charter language or a transcript from a meeting and drop that into the additional instructions, and it'll give me some documentation, or it'll integrate that into the process map that it ends up building. So it says plan the route to work, prepare the night before. Now this is specific to here, save and continue. This is specific to the process of getting to work on time, making sure that I get out the door. It's going to assign owners for some of these, which it assumes that I'm going to fix. But it gives me a good starting point if I didn't have a process map before. I can do the same thing in something like a Gemini. I could say write process steps for getting to work in the morning. So if I don't have a process map yet, I don't have any documentation for it, this might actually give me a good starting point. Now this may not be accurate to everything, right? Hygiene, fuel and hydrate, I love that. Final load and lunch, right? So some of these might be applicable to my scenario, some of them might not, but it at least gives me a starting point if I'm interviewing somebody in this process to say, how relevant is this to your process, or how much of this do we need to tweak to give us a better understanding? Even if I'm going to process map with them individually and one-on-one, I might do something like this that I can kind of get a sense a little bit of what their world is, right? So this is me preparing as a practitioner before I engage with the client, maybe who works in a workspace that I've never worked in before. Okay, so we got a process map. How about an FMEA? So failure modes effects analysis. So generate an FMEA for the possible defects in this process. Are you familiar with the FMEA? So you go through and you score like what's a possible thing that could go wrong? What's the potential of it actually happening? How disruptive would it be if it were to happen? And then what kind of safeguards or deterrents do you already have in place? It gives you write out a score for each of these, and then you can go through and prioritize almost some of the opportunities that are there. So maybe forgetting to lay out close, this causes rushings. This severity of this might be like an 8 and the occurrence of 7 with a potential deterrent factor of 3. I can take something like this and paste it into an Excel and then start working on it. Other things that I might do, I might say I am ready to kick off this project. Write an introductory email to the SME team, subject matter expert team. Okay, let's see what it does. Awesome. And it gives me the email, right? And again, this is similar. The layout's going to be different. The amount of context is going to be different. The speed is going to be different. But a lot of the tools, even the free ones, are going to give you similar kinds of experiences. And I'm just trying to show you the different things that you could do, right? As a practitioner, as you're going through and I'm practicing define, measure, improve, and control. Let's say you've gotten to the point where you've gotten a whole bunch of ideas. Let me drop out of this and come back to this one. Imagine 10 solutions to this problem. Okay, here's 10 solutions. Well, I probably should have said like 3 so that it would put them a lot more quickly. Okay. These are 10 ideas, and maybe they're good ideas and maybe they're not. All right, so now imagine you are a student. This is me giving it a persona. How might you react to these ideas if I asked you to do them? Right, so now this is me giving it a persona and sort of field testing these ideas. Well, let's see. Likely reaction that's useful, I'll check that before. Possible hesitation, I already used my own weather app, why do I need another one? Right, another thing to sign up for, right, and is this gonna spam me, right? So some of the things that you've got this great idea, but before you put it in front of people, what are, preparing for, what are some of the potential reactions and some of the ways that you might want to craft the messaging? So there's a ton of stuff out there. It all really builds on a foundation of, can you prompt? And the can you prompt is really a question of, can you communicate to somebody, right? And that's really what we're asking you to do with these tools, is to say, what's your situation? I'm a project manager, I'm doing Lean Six Sigma, great. What do you need? What is the task? I need a charter, I need bullet notes, I need you to summarize my meeting notes, I need you to do this or that. I'll get to your question, William, in just a second. I just wanted to share some quick resources before I got like 5 minutes left. Okay. Okay, if you're not sure where to start, if you're like, this was all really exciting, I'm overwhelmed, Tony said so much so fast, go to an AI tool and say, I'm a project manager, I am a Lean Six Sigma expert, or I'm an aspiring Lean Six Sigma practitioner. Can you please write me some prompts that I might be able to use as I'm doing the things that I need to do as a project manager? And that might be your starting point. You can take a look at the prompts that it gives you. Kind of like if you were to come to me, Tony, and say, hey, I'm starting my Lean journey. What kind of prompts might be useful for me as a Lean practitioner? I might give you some responses, but my responses would be a lot better if you told me a little bit more. I'm in the UK, and these are the kinds of projects I work in, higher ed, that sort of thing. I'll give you even better prompts because I'm giving it additional context of my situation. Do you want to call out too? There's a whole bunch of resources that we have available at tgbt.ucsd.edu. It's in our training and resources folder. A lot of this is openly available for you. So I have webinars from the past. I have this YouTube series, Everyday AI. We have an asynchronous module that we have where you can sort of look through the history and terminology and that sort of thing if you've got folks for whom AI is relatively new. This YouTube series, Everyday AI, It's 3-minute videos, essentially, of us doing some kind of prompt, usually work-related. They take place, for the most part, in Triton GPT, but as I showed you, Copilot and Gemini and all of the other tools, a lot of them have the same exact sort of layout and functions and features. So I would encourage you to watch these and then go to whichever tool is approved for your location or whichever you're comfortable with and try similar prompts that maybe are related to you and your space. Some things that I want you to do: practice, share out, and have fun. So let me get to this question. So here's where I'm left wondering. William says, starting with the example for brainstorming and sorting, why is sorting a waste of talent or a place to work with people or application of AI? Is there some learning taking place for team members by the experience of defining groups and labels? I'm struggling whether the AI described here, which was fascinating, by the way, is respecting people, not wasting their talent, or disrespecting people, not using their knowledge and experiences. Now, here's what I'd say to that. It's the same as anything else that we do, in that we need to have a conversation and consider whether it's value add for our customers, right? If I was hired or I'm partnering with a team of 30 people and the sponsor says, we only have 2 hours to work on this, then I'm going to use AI because I'm going to quickly move through it. If I'm partnering with a team and they're telling me, I want these 20 people who are going to go through this Kaizen, I want them to learn the skill sets so that they too can do this kind of work on their own. If we're building practitioners, then yeah, I might still go through and move the stickies one at a time. But if they're not, if what they really want and what they really need, what's truly value add for them at the end of the day is we turn these sticky notes into actionable outcomes, then the act of moving the sticky notes is non-value add in that scenario, right? And it's the same, I think, for many, if not all, steps for the things that we do. It's, will the person that you're working with, your customers, whatever label you use for your customers and the folks that you serve and partner with, will they raise a red flag if you use AI? Do they have concerns if you use AI? And to your point, William, is anything lost in the experience of doing this via AI versus doing it in other fashions? And that's something that we need to be aware of. But we need to do that in any process, right? And this, like every other process, is something that needs to be discussed and evaluated. And if we don't take advantage of these AI tools, then we're sort of falling into the same trappings that we're asking other people not to do, is just do it the way that you've always done it because that's what you're comfortable with, right? And so we at least need to have this conversation, at least need to build up our skill set so that we can use these tool sets when we feel ready to do so. Other questions, comments, concerns, considerations, qualms, quandaries, queries, conundrums? I've got like 1 minute left. I'm happy to stay on longer. I don't know if folks can or if there's another session going on. Kate, Melissa, I look to you.
We do have another session, but if people have some burning questions, very happy to take them.
I'm going to put some stuff in the chat.
Yeah, as Antonio mentioned, we have recorded this session, so we will make it available on the YouTube channel for the conference as soon as we can get it downloaded, edited, put up. So hopefully that shouldn't be too long. Okay, so I don't think we've got any other questions, just some really nice comments around how useful and fun and valuable some of these tools and techniques are that you've just shared with us. Thank you so much. I think sometimes with adopting new tools, we just need to see how other people are using it and get some really solid practical tips around how to give it a try. And then we just have to go and press the buttons and do the thing and get comfortable with it. And it's really good that we've got someone who has gone and done that we can learn from, who is so central to our global community. So thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. It's greatly appreciated.